everybody, I'm Neha and today I'm going to be reading you the book The Fox and the Hound. But before we get started with the book, I'm going to tell you all a brain game. In one of your hands, put a thumbs up symbol. In the other hand, put a symbol like this. And in the same time, you have to exchange like this. So let's get started with the book. One spring morning, a mother fox dashed through a meadow carrying her baby. A hunter and his dogs were chasing them, and the mother fox needed to find a safe place to hide her cub. The mother fox soon came to a patch of tall grass. She covered up her baby and ran away, hoping that the dogs would follow her. The dogs came sniffing through the grass, but they did not see the frightened baby fox. When the hunter and his dogs disappeared, the baby fox poked his tiny nose out of the grass and sniffed around. The little fox waited and waited, but there was no sign of his mother. Luckily, a kindly owl named Big Mama had seen everything. She flew down to comfort the little fox. "Now don't you worry," said the gentle owl. "Big Mama will find someone to take care of you." Big Mama quickly found her two friends, Dinky the sparrow and Boomer the woodpecker. "Please help me," said Big Mama. "We must find a new home for this little fox." Dinky and Boomer had been trying to catch a caterpillar for their dinner, but they stopped to help Big Mama. "What can we do to help the little fellow?" they asked. Well, the caterpillar quietly crawled away. "We'll lead that nice widow tweed right to him," Big Mama explained. "She'll know what to do after that." And so, Big Mama and Boomer grabbed a piece of widow tweed's washing from her clothesline. When the widow ran after the bird, they dropped the clothing right on top of the baby fox. "Goodness!" cried Widow Tweed when she spotted the baby fox. "What are you doing here?" The warm-hearted widow loved the little fox at once. "You are just like a toddler," said Widow Tweed. "I think I will call you Todd for short." Todd liked the widow and his new name very much. Not far from the widow's house lived a hunter named Amos. He had just come home with a puppy. "His name is Copper," Amos told his old dog chief. "He'll be a big help to us when he grows up." But Chief did not want any help, and he pretended not to care about Copper. When Copper curled up beside Chief and fell asleep, Chief decided the puppy wasn't so bad after all. As Copper grew up, he became very curious about the world around him. One day, as he went sniffing through the forest, he found himself nose to nose with a fox. "My name is Copper," said the puppy. "My name is Todd," said the little fox. And before the day was over, the fox and the hound were the best of friends. That evening, Amos the hunter was very angry when Copper came home. He decided to tie up Copper so that the puppy could not get away from his doghouse again. Todd hid in the bushes and watched. He was very sad to see his new friend in trouble. Todd decided to visit his friend to cheer him up. But as soon as Chief smelled the fox, he began to chase him. When a mouse saw Chief chasing Todd, the hunter was sure Todd was after his chickens. So a mouse chased Todd all the way to Widow Tweed's house. "You keep that fox away from my chickens," a mouse shouted angrily at Widow Tweed. "You leave Todd alone," Widow Tweed declared. "He would never hurt your chickens. Now go away." Todd was very frightened, and so was the widow. She knew that Todd would get hurt if he went near a mouse's property again. "Todd, you'd better stay in the house." A few days later, Todd watched from Widow Tweed's window as the mouse packed for a hunting trip. Todd was even sadder when he saw his friend Copper disappear from view as the mouse drove away. As the weeks passed, Copper learned how to be a hunting dog just like Chief. Soon, Copper was no longer a puppy, but a full-grown dog with a nose that could track anything. Back home, Todd grew tired of waiting for Copper to come back. He decided to pay a visit to a mouse's house to see if they had returned. On the way, he ran into his old friend Big Mama. "Be careful," she warned. "Copper is grown up, just like you. His job is to chase foxes now. He can't be your friend anymore." Todd didn't believe Copper could have changed so much. At last, Copper came home. He sat in the front seat with a mouse, howling as only a dog can howl. Chief just covered his ears. That night, Todd heard Copper's howling and ran over to greet his pal. Copper was surprised to see Todd, but sadly told him to go away. "We can't be the best of friends anymore," Copper tried to explain. "I have a job to do, and that job is to hunt foxes." Todd tried to argue, but Chief suddenly began to bark. Todd tried to get away from Chief. He zigzagged as fast as he could, but another dog was right behind him. It was Copper. The dogs had gotten loose. "I won't let him find you," Copper barked. "Run to the bridge. I'll lead him the other way." But Chief was a smart old hunting dog. He was waiting for Todd on the bridge. Moments later, a rumble surprised them both. Chief and Todd looked up to see a train coming at them full speed. Todd squeezed into a tiny space as the train roared past. But Chief was not so lucky. He was forced right off the bridge by the speeding train. When Copper found Chief, he blamed Todd. "This is what happens when you're friends with a fox," he thought angrily. "I won't let him get away again." Todd was very frightened. As soon as he returned home, he curled up in Widow Tweed's arms. Suddenly, a mouse pounded on the door. "Your fox almost got my dog killed tonight," a mouse shouted at the window. "He's a nasty wild animal." Widow Tweed shouted back at the mouse. "You're the nasty one. Leave us alone." Widow Tweed knew a mouse was right about Todd being a wild animal. He didn't belong on a farm any longer. He needed to be free. She brought Todd to a safe place in the woods and hugged him. "This will be your home now, Todd," she said sadly. "It will be better for you here." Todd watched her go, feeling very lonely and sad. But he wasn't alone for long. His old friend, Big Mama, was watching out for him, and she led him to a lovely lady fox named Vixie. Soon Todd had a new best friend. One day, the two young foxes heard gunshots. It was a mouse and Copper out hunting. "Run, Vixie!" Todd shouted as they dashed away. The loud growl of a bear interrupted the chase. Suddenly, the angry bear rushed toward all of them. Shocked, a mouse stepped back, right into a steel trap. Copper bravely tried to protect his master, but the tough old bear threw the faithful dog to the ground. Todd stopped running when he heard Copper's barking. "Copper tried to help me once," he remembered. He raced back to try to save his old friend from the angry bear. The bear forgot about Copper as he chased Todd to the river. Todd tried to escape across an old log. But when the bear followed him, the log broke. Todd and the bear plunged into the cold water below. Todd pulled himself to the shore, only to find a mouse aiming his gun right at him. Copper couldn't let a mouse hurt Todd. Quickly, he stood in a mouse's way, protecting his friend. A mouse lowered his gun. "You're right," he said. "The fox saved us from the bear." Copper then went and stood by a mouse as they watched Todd escape. When Widow Tweed saw a mouse limping home, she hurried out to see what had happened. As she bandaged his hurt foot, a mouse told her about Todd, Copper, and the bear. "I was wrong," said a mouse. "Your fox is nice after all." Widow Tweed just smiled. She knew Todd would be safe from a mouse from now on. A few days later, Todd and Vixie sat on a cliff overlooking the valley. They looked down at their friends and wished them happiness. "Now I know what the two most beautiful things in the world are," Todd told Vixie. "Love and friendship." Todd and Vixie agreed that they were lucky to have both. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this book. And do like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you. Bye.